Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Mandela Effect Equals Everything. My name is Dale DuFay. I got a comment here from Changing Matrix. Let's read over it. Hi, Dale. I'm glad I found a place to leave a comment. Someone found and posted one of your old videos from your original channel. And oddly enough, it didn't really sound like what you used to say. So I went and found your new channels, and indeed your message sounds a little different from the perspective of this being from God, not religion, but God performed. My journey has led me completely to the feet of Jesus, God, Jesus, and the end of the age. But I also now believe we are not on the same earth. If my interpretation was correct and you see God through this, I am really happy to discover that in your new videos. It's great to have found you again in any regard. I hope you are doing well. P.S. I understand if you want to delete this comment after reading. Of course, first of all, I wouldn't, delete it. I did make a reply to it, and I said, peace and love, my friend. The event is spiritual to the extreme. It must have great significance and meaning. And the Changing Matrix replied to that and said, thank you. Yes, spiritual to the extreme is such a massive understatement. I really don't understand all the people who think this experience stopped a few days ago. And see, that's interesting, right? I stopped a few years ago. Oh my gosh, it so hasn't. I'm sure you can feel the changes coming as exquisitely as many of us can. It's beyond palatable. It is not in my cards to ever be normal again, but I thank God every day that even with how painful and lonely this experience is, I wouldn't exchange the wisdom I've been given for any of this or any earth. Now, the thing that really got me is I don't really follow the Mandela Effect community on YouTube or anything. But it seems to me that people think it stopped a few years ago. Now, here's the thing. I mean, by stopped meaning what? The shifting stopped. Does it mean the whole event stopped, or what does it really mean? That it stopped. I think it's the shifting. This, to me, this experience is spiritual beyond, anything I've ever, to me, it's only spiritual because everything that was created on the earth, including life itself, our own bodies and everything, will remain on the earth and in that reality, regardless. Nothing's ever going to change that, but if the only thing that is, leaving is our soul. Our fractured and splintered soul is experiencing shifts, and things may appear to be changing, but they're not. They're just different. So maybe the shifting has stopped. And if that's the case, what does that all mean? So I did go back to my firm belief from day one. Even when I was a kid and studying the Bible off and on throughout my life, I always wondered what Revelation chapter 10, verse 7 meant. And here we can read it from, there's different translations here. Let's read the King James right there. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, and he hath declared to his servants, the prophets. Now, there you go. Of course, I always wondered what this verse meant, but when I immediately realized I was experiencing the phenomenon known as the Mandela effect, I thought of this verse. I honestly, if you look at early videos, I've been doing videos about the Mandela effect for years, since 2017, I believe. And the first thing I said is this is the prophecy about the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is prophesied in Revelation chapter 10, verse 7. And and even the verse before that, verse 6, where it talks about how time will stop, and or he shall, the time, the time is no more. I mean, that could be taken in many ways, but it's interesting. But here, when I first saw that comment from Changing Matrix, I thought, wow, because again, I don't keep up with the community. I just go about my daily life and soak in what I've experienced with the Mandela effect and what it could mean and what it is doing with my life, and trying to understand it better and get the meaning of what it's really trying to show us. Because I do believe that that's what it's doing. It's showing us basically, what the meaning of life is all about. Things that humankind has been searching answers, trying to get answers for since the beginning of time, or the beginning of creation, perhaps. This is the only time in the history of humanity that it's being revealed what life is all about. And here, CERN, places like that have been trying, spend billions and hundreds of billions of dollars trying to figure it out, when the Mandela effect's doing it for free. But the thing that really caught my attention is when, if that is indeed the case, that the Mandela effect communities thought it stopped a few years ago, well, it brought me right back to Revelation chapter 10, verse 7. Now let's look at some other versions. I don't know what the NIV stands for, New English Version, or not. I'm not going to try to guess it, but I used to know all that. But in the very top there it says, "But in the days when the seventh angel is about to sound his trumpet, the mystery of God will be accomplished, just as he announced to his servants the prophets." Here's the ESV. But in the days of the trumpet call to be sounded by the seventh angel, the mystery of God will be fulfilled, just as he announced to his servants the prophets. And like we did to King James already. This one says, "But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he is about to sound, the mystery of God is finished, and as he announced to his servants the prophets." And then this one, "The seventh angel blows his trumpets, God's mysterious plan will be fulfilled." Now, what if that mysterious plan is the Mandela effect? Think about that. And then if it has indeed stopped as far as the shifting, in a dramatic sense, I mean, from going from a reality you recall and you've spent your whole life in to another completely different one, maybe that part has stopped, but we could be shifting still in this quantum flux, and still, going into realities that are virtually identical and not recognizing any differences. So what if that part of it did in fact stop? Then it's finished, it's fulfilled. And then in this one, it says, "But in the days when the seventh angel will blow his trumpet, then the mystery of God will be completed." Again, what if that mystery of God is prophesizing the Mandela effect? The mysteries, I mean, to me, it's unraveling mysteries that things I've always wondered about my whole life, have been answered by what I've experienced in the Mandela effect. So what if that mystery of God, I even heard there's a translation that I really respect. It's called a New World's Translation. It actually, I couldn't find it on here, in this particular app, which is the Bible reference app. I found this on Google, but it actually says the sacred secret, instead of mystery of God. Now that's, what could be more sacred than us human beings and finding out we have multiple realities and replica versions of ourselves that have been shared in our souls since the day we were born. And what could be more secret than that fact being hidden from us until the Mandela effect arrived? Now that's why I personally think that chapter 10, verse 7 in Revelation is the prophesizing the Mandela effect, because now, this channel doesn't get religious or theocratic in any way, but the Bible is, in my opinion, a really good reference book. Of course, it could be interpreted in many, many ways for many, many reasons that suit whatever situation. But I do believe it is a book full of clues. There's a lot of hidden clues and big stories and popular stories in the book. And Revelation is awesome. I've always been impressed with it. And again, I've always wondered what the sacred secret was in chapter 10, verse 7. Of course, it's mentioned a couple times, even in the Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles and things like that. But it's always referred to in whatever translation as the mystery of God or the sacred secret. So that's what always caught my attention in helping, wow, this is the prophesizing the Mandela effect, you know, and indeed, but yet I was always confused about the finished part. I always thought, well, maybe the Mandela effect would be finished and the seventh angel will sound his trumpet. But, it just really caught my attention when Changing Matrix brought this to my attention about maybe people thinking it stopped. And it may seem like it, and that might be referring to the fact that it's finished. The mystery of God is finished. The answers have been given to us in front of our faces. It's up to us to look for them and find them. And the way I was able to do that was through a lot of meditation and prayer and a lot of, I wanted to get in right away. I was, of course, it was awesome seeing what it was doing, the Mandela effect, seeing what we perceive as changes, things changing. But of course, realizing later on they weren't changing, they were just different because we're in a different reality that we've always existed in. To me, it was just, I wanted to get into the meat and potatoes and understand what the heck was going on here and how and why and is this related to prophecies in the Bible and things like that. And of course, doing so without being theocratic or religious in any way, because that the thing that got me and turned me away from religions right away, because I've always been a Christian, consider myself a Christian, is the fact that they didn't want to have anything to do with the Mandela effect, or didn't even want to hear about it. I was so excited, I couldn't wait to tell the organization I was a part of at the time, and waited months and months for responses. And the responses I did get were saying it was from the devil. And of course, nothing could be further from the truth in that regard. There's no way that opposition force would want us to know what the Mandela effect's revealing, so they have nothing to do with it. So to me, it was highly spiritual prophesized event that I figured they'd want to listen to, but of course they didn't. But it opened my eyes to the fact that all religions are, in the same category. Let's just say it's not the parishioners; it's the parishioners that invoke the Holy Spirit in all these organizations. It's not the organizations themselves. So that's why I chose to not be religious. But I will look into the Bible, for these little clues. And I firmly believe that Revelation chapter 10 is prophesizing the Mandela effect, and perhaps it is finished, as the prophecy says it will be. But yeah, I'd love the translation is really good on the New World's translation of the Bible, because it does say sacred secret instead of mystery of God, but they both, are referring to the same thing. This, perhaps the Mandela effect. What if the sacred secret was the Mandela effect? What if the mystery of God is the Mandela effect? What if it is finishing right now? That makes it even, nobody can deny the fact that this is a highly spiritual event that's going on. Nobody can deny that. In fact, it's purely spiritual. It's revealing just how incredibly spiritual us human beings are. We're just been ignorant of it for a long, long time. And, the Mandela effect, perhaps this event is the first time it's ever happened in the history of all of humanity. So it's extremely important. And so, of course, it would be prophesized in the Bible. And perhaps it is finished. I quit noticing huge changes and differences, and I always got to catch myself, because perhaps I do notice something that's different, but maybe I overlooked it. Or perhaps we are still shifting into realities that are virtually identical, and it's more difficult to notice it, that we are on a completely different earth. in a completely different section of the galaxy. Now I know, like many of you, originated from the outer reaches of the Sagittarius Arm, some 75,000 light years from here across the galactic center. If you were to go straight across to that point, that measures 75,000 light years and across the galactic center. So that tells me that we're the only game in town, literally. Now that's not to say that there's other beings and things like that, but they're no doubt dimensional, which would indicate, of course, that like everything, they are parallel too. Like I like to say that heaven is parallel. Each reality has its heaven, its different dimensions. It's amazing. And it's quite obvious to me, and that's what the Mandela effect is meant to do. Reveal the mysteries of creation, reveal the mysteries of God, reveal the mysteries of humanity. And that's, to me, it revealed it. It didn't tell us, it showed us. And I always like to say it's not me telling you, it's the Mandela effect showing you. It's the answers are right there in front of everybody. The answers are right there. And you just have to take that, Sherlock Holmes, his methodology, and it works. You have to remove what is impossible, and what's left may be highly improbable, but it has to be the answer. And what's left from eliminating all the impossibilities that are involved with the Mandela effect, like the Earth changing overnight, like our location in the Milky Way galaxy changing overnight, like our bodies changing overnight, are all impossible. So what else could it be? It's a different reality that you have always existed in your entire life, that this Earth has always been in this location in the Milky Way galaxy. As far as humans are concerned, in our minuscule point of time, as far as geological time and galactic time. But of course, there's so many things the Mandela effect's revealing. I don't want to, digress or anything, but I just wanted to focus on the scriptural aspect of this, the prophecy in Revelation chapter 10:7 that I always wondered about. I ain't kidding. I always wondered what that particular verse meant. And lo and behold, what if it did? What if it does? And is referring to the Mandela effect. It's very interesting. It seems to be kind of chiming in with everything as far as perhaps being finished. Because I've said long ago that I didn't need to shift anymore into other realities, even though at that time I was. I was trying to figure out what's it trying to show us, besides what understanding a lot of us have been getting out of it. I certainly don't need any more convincing. I don't need to shift anymore. And perhaps maybe that time has come. It still doesn't relinquish the fact that it occurred, this miraculous, and, I like to say that the Mandela effect is more miraculous than the parting of the Red Sea. And it is. It's the most miraculous phenomenon to ever happen to human beings. And of course, therefore it should be revealing incredible things like it has, without a doubt. So with that, I thank you for watching, and we'll talk at you later. Love you.